Good morning to everyone.
Autoridades, personas expertas.
Welcome to the experts, authorities, public, the audience, specialists in justice. Welcome to this conference, the second regional conference of the International Association of Women's Judges in Europe, North Africa and the Middle East. I'm a judge, I work in Valencia, I'm a specialist in gender violence, and it is an honor for me to participate in this conference, participating and offering my small part. I would like to say, to give you a warm welcome. For the people in this room, I'm sure we are all very pleased to see that we have people from all over the world. But our shared perspective is the gender perspective, an analysis and the development of this gender perspective. The fact that we all come from so many different places makes me think that we have a great starting point. The fact that the gender perspective is a universal concept. And it goes beyond borders or professional structures. It goes beyond these concepts. It's more than just theory. It's not individual theory. It's a plural concept. This is an element or something which affects the whole of society and, of course, justice. We're going to talk a lot about gender perspective in this conference with experts on the subject that we will hear from, and I'm sure they will reveal new things to us. Of course, you are going to be given the chance to participate, and that will make this conference much more beneficial and will provide us with more instruments for enforcing the law in the future. From AMJE, we would like to begin this conference with a universal act. What is more universal than music? So we have a young musician with us. She's just 25. She is called Jimena Andion Garcia. She plays the cello, obviously. She's from Galicia in Spain. She studied in Galicia, but also she has been abroad, Poland, Istanbul, and she has played with the Lyrical Association in Galicia, with the Philharmonic Orchestra of Pontevedra, and she participates in many organizations. So I think there's no better way than to start than to listen to her musical performance. It's a piece by Bach. And, well, as the day goes on, today and tomorrow we will hear from her again. Thank you.
Muchísimas gracias.
Thank you very much for the opportunity to attend this conference. I would like to say that this conference is the result of constant interest amongst women judges to make sure that justice is impartial and gives equal treatment. I would like to say thank you to everybody in the Women's Institute who have organized this conference. We know what that means and involves. It's like domestic work. It's invisible and systematic, but everybody benefits from it because it generates great quality of life. So I would like to thank the director of the Institute, the Programs Office, and the Communications Cabinet, of course. I would like to thank Gloria Poyatos for being the way she is. She is always intervening in the media whenever there is a sentence which is not impartial. It's true that in justice we hear a lot about the gender perspective. I think that we are at a conference that should be a reference point when it comes to referring to the conclusions of important interventions that we will see during this conference. We have international speakers and national speakers, and I have to tell you that they have paid their own accommodation and everything they could in order to join us. So I would like to a round of applause for everybody who has made this event possible.
Me siento absolutamente honrada.
I feel really honored to be here. You can see that we all are surrounded by people with a lot to say who represent institutions which work to make sure that justice is carried out impartially. I think that it's necessary for us to talk about impartiality rather than the gender perspective, because the gender perspective seems to include a way of interpreting justice, and the principle of impartiality talks about a justice system which is all about regulating rights regardless of sex, race, age, or personal circumstances of each individual who is looking to have their rights guaranteed within a democratic country. In our country, we have a shameful lack of women in positions of responsibility in the judiciary system, in the positions where important decisions are taken. Over 40 years of the Constitutional Court, the only female, we've only had one female president. She was a wonderful lawyer. She was absolutely 100% impartial, and she took positive measures in employment, education, because women, we are the majority of the population in all countries. We don't need to ask for any favors. We should understand that the person interpreting and enforcing impartiality must be themselves impartial. But we only have 12 female magistrates in the higher level. And in the Constitutional Court right now, we have a woman, María Luisa Balaguer. So if we want to comply with our constitutions, justice is the main body which guarantees that. And the Constitution tells us that we should be living in a country which is free of violence and in which my declaration should never be questioned because of my gender and the fact that I represent women. When we say that without impartiality, without equality, there is no democracy, we are not simply, using a slogan here, but rather a demand that we make so that women can really decide. In the enforcement of laws, we have to take into account the subordination of women in many countries, and this has been verified by statistics. We have to investigate cases in which equal treatment is not ensured, where there is no guarantee that everybody will be considered a credible witness, and that the role of daughter, wife, or mother should not be questioned. and should not influence in the protection of my rights. As Clara Campoamor said, equality is learned, and it can only be learned by exercising it. It's an exercise of willpower. Here, we must criticize decisions which have subverted or breached these rights. Thank you very much. Thank you. My name is Esmeralda Rasillo. I am the Director General for Relations with the Justice Administration. My first few words must be to thank all of the organizers. I know that to organize a conference of this kind requires a collective effort, but that collective effort is something that has normally characterized women. We always contribute rather than subtracting, let's say. It's based on dialogue, away from confrontation and insults. Since there's not much time, I'm just going to give a few indications. I would just like to say that from the Ministry of Justice over the last 10 months, during which we have been in power, the Minister of Justice gave priority to the fight for equality. This was one of the main pillars. And during a legislative period, which has been highly complicated, those who have come from other countries, I would like to tell you that the party in power only had 84 MPs, so it was very difficult to pass laws which were really necessary. And why were they necessary? Well, first of all, I think we have to highlight in this context the value of justice. Justice gives social peace. Justice gives economic wealth. And it is there for all citizens. These citizens, well, over half of them are women. And this is an unstoppable phenomenon, because it is not related to ideology or governments. It's civil society. It's coming from the grassroots. That's where this phenomenon is starting, and it's unstoppable around the entire world. In Spain, I think we can proudly say that we are one of the first countries to highlight this battle for equality, which is all about improving the coexistence of all citizens. From the Ministry of Justice and in terms of legislation, what have we done? Well, we have brought out a royal decree, law in August, in consensus with other ministries, which established very important measures, taking into account children who are also victims of gender-based violence. I shan't go into details, but it is a very important law. When it comes to ensuring that judges and prosecutors have real solid training in equality issues, the organic law of the judiciary power has been modified. It was modified in December of last year with the introduction in the public exams of training in equality. In fact, in the Ministry of Justice, we have promoted the modification of the subject matter for public exams, and this has been approved by the selection committee. So in other words, in the next public exams for public employment, the subjects include equality issues. And in the Secretariat for Equality, well, if we talk about the number of female judges, I come from the prosecutors' branch, let's say, and that's what I studied. In Spain, we have 2,500 prosecutors. 72% of us are women, but only 13% hold the highest positions within the prosecutor's office. And this is not an issue related to age. No, I studied at a time when, well, many people that came after me have high up positions. The problem is conceptual, and this is important. The judges and the prosecutors need to reflect upon how we are seen in society, how women judges and prosecutors are seen, and how we are seen as collateral victims as well of gender violence and domestic violence. So to finish, I would just like to provide a bit of context by saying that Spain has a great burden with gender-based violence. We're talking about almost 1,000 women who have died since 2003. This year, 17 women have already died. I must say that within the context of Spain, there is not a high criminality rate in general. However, the homicide rates are increased greatly by this terrible gender-based violence that we suffer. Another aspect that we have dealt with, but due to the fact that we are coming up for general elections, we haven't been able to carry this through. This is protection of minors, the violence against children, any kind of violence against children, above all against young girls who are migrants. They are particularly vulnerable. There's a lot to be done, and the ideas that you are going to talk about today will be studied and analysed, because I insist civil society is what is really pushing us on to respond to that call. Thank you very much.
Good morning. Sabah al-Heidi. Buenos días. Quiero darles la bienvenida, señor.
I would like to welcome you, ladies and gentlemen, authorities, representatives. On behalf of the Women's Judges Association in Spain, I welcome you to this conference. This is the second regional conference of the International Association of Women Judges for Europe, Middle East and North Africa. Before anything else, I would just like to thank the Women's Institute for their great work in organising this, and I would highlight the human team behind this. We can't see them right now, but they have been led by the Subdirector General for Programmes. And I would also like to thank, with great emotion, my colleagues from AMJE, my sisters. I would like to thank them for the time, effort, perseverance, all of their efforts over the last months to prepare this meeting. This was just a dream in the past and has become reality. And I would like to, again, insist on thanking Doración Jiménez. In exceptional circumstances, she has joined us here today. I would also like to thank Lucia Vilés, who has not been able to come, but we send our support to her, and I am sure that she returns them from where she is. Thanks also, important, thanks to the AECID, the Spanish International Cooperation Agency, because this has made it possible for us to have 33 judges here from Syria, Libya, the Yemen, Algeria, Tunisia, Morocco. Fellow judges who are going to talk to us about what is happening with women and girls in their countries and how justice can be a transformational tool. Also thanks to the Council General of the Judicial Power, thanks to their Equality Committee and their training service, because they have included this conference in their training program, ongoing training program. And here we have 50 judges from the Spanish judiciary. So we welcome them also, and we hope to meet your expectations in this conference. Thanks also to the IAWJ, represented by Vanessa Ruiz, who unfortunately has not been able to join us, but we thank them for allowing us and trusting in us to organize this important event, which for the first time is being held in Spain, in this wonderful city of Madrid. And Thanks, of course, to the other pillar upholding this conference, our 48 collaborators in 6 bureaus coming from 21 different countries. In a voluntary, altruistic way, they are going to share with us their great knowledge and experience. But above all of you, the people in the room. Just a few weeks after announcing this event, we've filled this room, people coming, mainly judges, male and female, from 35 different countries around the world. Some very exotic, far-off countries, such as Sri Lanka, the Czech Republic, Dominican Republic, Argentinian group, our friends from the Philippines. Austria, Belgium, Cameroon, Canada. Cameroon, a great effort, lots of problems to be able to join us here. She's here with us. Senegal and many other countries around the world. But I'm going to highlight one of all of these. This is a country that is close to us, Portugal. I would like to talk about Portugal, because today is the 45th anniversary of the revolution in Portugal. This revolution changed Portugal forever. The Carnation Revolution. 45 years ago in Lisbon, a woman, Celeste Carreiro, shared out carnations amongst the soldiers. What happens is that popular history and this attempt to wipe out half of the population means that we do not remember that as we should. So here I think it's time to remember Celeste Carreiro and what she did 45 years ago. I would just like to wish you all a wonderful conference. I hope you learn a lot. This is a different conference. It's global, international, absolutely essential and positive, as well as being critical. We are going to carry out a difficult task with great responsibility, which is all about delivering justice. That involves recognition, redistribution, and representation. Recognition of the rights for people who are denied them. Redistribution in an equal way with a gender perspective, and representation of a complete approach to society formed by men and women. I would just like to finish with one phrase which defines the essence of this conference. This is a phrase said by a member of the IAWJ, but she is not just any old member. She is an icon in an international level. She is in the Supreme Court in the United States. Ruth Bader Ginsburg. She said something as great and as simple as fight for what you believe for and what matters to you, but do it in such a way that other people join you. Thank you. I would like to welcome Pilar Sepúlveda García de la Torre from the Council General of the Judicial Power. First of all, I would like to thank the IAWJ and Gloria Poyatos for that wonderful, emotional introduction. I really would like to thank you for all of your efforts in ensuring this conference took place, and of course all of the speakers for their solidarity and generosity. I would also like to thank all of the people who have come to attend the meeting. In the Council General of the Judicial Power, in the Equality Commission, and everybody, it's a real challenge to fight and achieve real equality in the work of judges. Right now, we have over 5,400 judges, 5,470, and we have 2,967 women. This is quite a considerable figure if we bear in mind that in Spain, until 1966, it was forbidden for women to be judges. And the first woman who became a judge in Spain was in 1976. So the numbers have increased very rapidly, so much so that if we look at the ages, we can see that between 31 and 40, women judges represent 67.1%, whereas male are 32%, 32.9%. If we look at by age, we can see that between 61 and 70, women represent 26.9%, and men 73.1%. As Esmeralda said, this is not a matter of age, because we have enough women. However, we are not in power. In 7 of the regions of Spain, in 15, we have a majority of female judges. However, there is only one president of the superior courts. So of these 17 regions, in 15 we have a majority of women, but there is only one president. If we talk about 52 courts, only 7 of these provincial courts are chaired by women. We've made progress. In 2015, we only had 9 judges in the Supreme Court. Now we have 15. But we have 68 male judges. Therefore, this is disproportionate. So what's happening? Do we have this glass ceiling? In the training commission, we have studied the fact that we have a sticky floor as well. The fact that women take charge of bringing up children and looking after elderly people. We do not have sufficient resources to be able to look after our elderly parents. So when we're young, women look after their children, and when we're older, we look after our parents. So this creates a sticky floor, and this means that we can't even attempt to go through that glass ceiling. We just can't even take off, let's say. In the council, we have promoted training, not just training, as Esmeralda mentioned, in preparing for public exams, but training in the judiciary school, and also everyday training, in ongoing training for our judges, not just for equality and on violence, but also in a cross-cutting way. We have included these issues in many courses, because often in gender-based courses, only people specifically interested attended those courses. So we've tried to include gender in all courses. We call upon judges to interpret laws, to carry out tests and analysis, to bring together the consequences and causes. However, we once again find very sad cases. I could quote one, because Ángela González Carreño, who was convicted. We have tens of reports from women saying that the father had threatened to kill the daughter. But what happened in those cases? Well, it was argued that the woman just wanted to take the child away from the parent, from the father. We have famous cases, and we all come across these cases in the courts. We have gender stereotypes which prevent justice being delivered. And, of course, justice does not always match reality. We have to bear in mind that in all cases where a woman is involved, we have to look at the underlying causes, education, and everything in their broader context. I think that the typical image of justice, the idea of a woman with her eyes covered, we have to get rid of that. Justice has to have a clear vision of the reality of women asking for justice. So I would once again congratulate you. I think the program is wonderful. I will try to come to as many sessions as I can and participate, because I think this is a real step forward towards true equality.
A continuación.
And now, it's time for my colleague, sister. She's a co-director of the region of Europe, North Africa and Middle East of the IAWJ, Saïda Chebili. In addition, she is the president of the Tunisian Association of Women Judges. She promotes women in these places, for instance, promoting the creation of the Association of Women Judges in Yemen, the president of which is with us, and she will be speaking in one of the tables. Thank you. Thank you very much. Good morning. I'd like to thank you and thank Gloria especially, as she's been very brave to allow us to be present with you here today. Something personal. I'm very happy to be with you because my name in Arabic is Seville. It is my first time in Spain, and this is very exciting for me. First of all, I'd like to say that in general terms, for women judges associations in our countries, we are not encouraged by men mainly. They consider that we shouldn't gather alone. However, I'd like to thank today the president of the appeal court who accepted to come with us to support our efforts. I also like to say that we are an association of women lawyers who work not only for ourselves, we also work with men, and we work for all society. There's no distinction of gender in our job. Another important point is the role of the two Libyan women judges. I'd like to thank them. We've worked very hard so that they could be here. It's not easy for them to travel from Libya to Tunisia. They had to wait some weeks to get a visa and participate in what we do within the IAWJ. Thank you very much for that. We are also with other countries in distress. Another colleague has set up the Association of Women Judges in Yemen. We have begun to work with her. She's coming for the first time to a meeting of the International Association, so thank you for your efforts. We're also very happy to be with you regarding the topic chosen by Gloria for this conference, the gender perspective. As Tunisians, we discovered this in an international conference in Mexico, and there we began to understand how the international system worked on this issue. It is true that Tunisian judges are not. There's a long way for us in this regard. We are working hard on this. That's why I like you to listen to them, because this will be positive for all. To finish, I would like to say what we always say in Tunisia: justice is the base of civilization, and together we will work hard to speak the same language. If we do things separately, we won't speak the same language. The same language is justice, humanity. So thank you very much for being here together to keep moving forward. Thank you very much.
Ahora, sin solución de continuidad, subirán a esta mesa.
And now, let's begin the first roundtable. The speakers, the rapporteur, and the facilitator of the first roundtable, which is the roundtable about criminal law.